Todd Bridges came to play.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
The one thing about LO, he does not lose.
Who would have ever known that I could taste every single thing and get them right? Come on, that was crazy.
The Mojito and lime.
That's ginger.
Hello and good evening. We are here podcasting on a lovely Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, here on Super Mario Brothers podcasting. It's been a minute since we've been here on this channel to check in about Celebrity Big Brother 3. We last podcasted almost, I guess it was about a week ago. I'm Dave Mader, joined with Jaemeel Robinson here, streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitch. As also, you might be listening to us on the audio version. Welcome, and we're here to break down everything that's happened since we last podcasted, which would be episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10.
A lot.
Yes, with 10 being the most recent in our memory, as it just aired tonight. But with all that said, Jaemeel, and how are you tonight, by the way?
I'm doing great. If I'm lying, I'm dying.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm glad to hear it. And
once again, wait, hold on. Before we continue any further, Jeff Mader, new Papa. For those who don't watch us on our other channel, which is Live Long and Podcast, Jeff Mader is now a daddy.
Yes, Jeff Mader. I am an uncle by blood. I was already an uncle by marriage, but yes. But now my brother, yes, is the first outside of me. Of course, I already have a son. So congratulations to Jeff and Amanda on the birth of Prudence Mader. Very exciting times. So yes, a new Mader in the works. And if Prudence, if you're looking back in the past, what was Uncle Dave podcasting about around the time of my birth? Here I am.
Here I
am in my glory, podcasting about these particular episodes of Big Brother Celebrity 3. Who's to say how many in the future? So, okay, since we last were here, Jaemeel, which was when Chris Kirkpatrick was evicted after the Kato Kalin hot tub debacle. It seems like a long time ago. We knew from the spoiler section in that last podcast that Chris Kattan was no longer in the house. We didn't know that on the show at that time when we last broke for episode 6. So then that was revealed again in episode 7 once they picked up. He walked out. I heard different accounts of why. Something to do with his father-in-law being sick and he couldn't get updates or something like that.
He wanted gone. He didn't
want to be there, and the game and like the house guests barely were acknowledging him anyway. Like I'm sure it was a very draining thing all around. So
it was kind of affecting the game. So for Moran, Chris felt bad because he knew how much he wanted to still win. So that's why he employed them, like, please, please keep her. I've had my time. Thank you very much. Right. And then she was gone and he was still there. And he was kind of like, and then you remember that conversation he had with Misha asking who was being put up. And it was kind of weird in terms of if you didn't have that context in mind, because she's like, well, it's not you. And then she goes, sorry. Right. Knowing that like he was like, put me out of my misery. I don't want to quit, but please take me out.
Yeah, can you just vote me out? Misha wants to actually be, or Mariah actually wants to be here. What the hell would you keep? Why would you not vote me out? It makes no sense in his mind, right?
And then Carson and Cynthia were like, they're not going to put up Chris. It's like, oh my gosh, that means they're coming after us, right? It was considered like a faux pas. Like, why are you keeping this person here against their wishes? Now, he wasn't like actively like campaigning to be gone like Meta World Peace was, but at the same time, like, dude was not invested or playing in the game. And when I say that, I don't mean in the way that Lamar comes across most of the time of not being invested in playing this game, but I mean this dude was like checked out even socially, like, so he was just there as like a number. Like, I wonder if he could have abstained from voting if there was an option, like because he didn't seem
Mhm.
invested at all in the game.
Well, he didn't, and like like when you have players like this, I just like say like let's cut our losses and move on, right? Because that there's not much else to it than that. And yeah, like and so just to get into everything with like so he apparently left on day 15, right? Which I
Yeah.
guess I guess that was before Chris Kirkpatrick was actually voted out, right?
I keep on hearing like he was he
'Cause he's apparently
possibly
voted out. It
left.
says he's voted out day 17, but that's after Chris
Did he
Kattan would have
vote?
left.
Did he vote?
Chris Kattan didn't vote in Chris Kirkpatrick's eviction.
So like he like what I was hearing was he left mid veto.
He left midweek, right? So
Like mid
all-
veto, like during the veto competition, he left.
just in the middle of the veto.
He just walked.
Right. Okay, but then he left this video where he like left it like, oh, and hey, it's you. We'll hang out sometime, and I'll come to I'll come to wherever it was, Nashville. Who lives in Nashville? I think.
Kirkpatrick, right? Isn't Kirkpatrick?
Oh yeah, I'm coming to see you, Chris Kirkpatrick, in Nashville, and everything. Yeah, he was just like shout outs, and he's like, I'll never see any of you again, except maybe I guess the finale where I have to come back and vote for the jury. If he
I
even
don't think.
comes
No,
back
he's
to
not
that.
voting.
He's not even going to vote in the jury.
Yeah, that's what I keep on hearing. So people assume there's going to be like America's vote.
America's vote to replace Chris Kirkpatrick. I'm merging their names together. Okay, so
now you don't have to worry about either of their names.
Now I don't have to worry about either. They're both gone, and and so after the Chris Kirkpatrick vote out, we're okay. What do you make of that? Like where he basically took a risk here by getting Shannon to use the veto. Right. And hoping that Misha wouldn't put him up, but Misha does put him up ultimately.
Yeah, there were some conversations that he played poorly because Todrick was putting in Misha's head that like Kirkpatrick was against her, and he was not being truthful. So Misha went to Chris, the Chris that stayed, but ultimately got gone. And what she was looking for was just any kind of affirmation that he's with her. So she asked a simple question, okay, if blah, 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 if Carson's put on the block, you're going to vote for Carson. And then he goes, yeah, I'll do what you need me to do. And then she's like, okay. And that would have been the end of it, and she would have been fine. But then he continued talking, and he just talked and talked and talked, and he eventually talked himself in a situation where he's like, I don't know if I can trust Todrick. And she's like, well, are you with us? And he's like, I don't know. And that was how it ended. So Misha walked back, and she's like, yeah, Todrick, you're right. And that kind of switched the whole situation for him. That it was over at that point for that dude. Right.
Yeah.
So like sometimes talk too much.
Well, yeah, I think with Chris Kirkpatrick, he just was like super enthusiastic and keen, and I think he just overplayed his hand. But I can respect that. At least he tried. At least he I think he was playing with nothing to lose, and sure, like go for it, man.
Did you get the clip of him going respect to Todrick going whoop there it is or whatever he said? Like,
no, I didn't get any of that.
Well, do you want to know the story behind that?
Sure.
I got a little bit of tidbits. So, Todrick and Chris weren't talking, and Todrick was like laying down some major, like, I'm never gonna talk to this dude ever again. After this season, if I'm gonna have a party, I'm gonna invite everyone, and then I'm gonna put a picture of Chris Kirkpatrick on the door to make sure that he doesn't get in. He's not gonna spend time. I don't want to look at this dude anymore.
Todrick said all this?
Todrick was saying this. And then Todrick and Chris had a conversation. And Todrick went and laid down how he felt that Chris was like, bad-mouthing him and talking crap about him and, dragging his name in the mud. And, how's it going to look when, there's only three black men in the house. one sleeping through the competitions, the other one is literally sleeping through the competitions. Todd, and he's here busting his butt trying to play the game, and he's the one that he's attacking and basically threatening Chris Kirkpatrick at how it's going to look. He's going to leave a goodbye message that's scolding and going to call out Chris for his attitude and his negative thing. And you got to realize how it's going to look to the world and how you're treating me and everything like that. I think Chris is like, okay, like let's Todrick go on his rant, and then Chris tries to explain himself in a situation, thinking that I'm just defending myself, when really what Todrick was trying to get was squeeze him for information, right, on his way out, because Chris was practically gone at this point. And then every time he tried saying try to play an honest game, and Todrick would cut him off and just say no. If you don't apologize and do the right thing, well, I'm gonna leave a scolding message. I'm gonna redo my message, and it's gonna be even worse than what it is right now, right? But if you do the right thing, then I'm gonna take back everything I said about you.
It's like a whole other show I'm getting now. I'm getting like a whole reenactment.
Right? It's like, so the feed's cut, and we kind of only get the ending of this conversation. Cuts for half an hour, so they were talking for a half an hour, and then it ends with Todrick going, right, if that's how you're gonna play it, that's gonna be right. And then Chris is like on his bed, he's like, no. And Todrick leaves, right? So Chris and Shayna start talking, and Chris is like, I'm not a good person, I let people guide me down this path. And Shayna obviously understands what Todrick was trying to do, and is like, dude, no. Dude is messing with your head. Yeah. Right. But Chris couldn't get it out of his head. So when Todrick gave him that goodbye message, which was just very simple, right? He's like, okay, respect. He didn't get this huge talking to, so he kind of accepted it. But of course, Chris is gonna go back and watch the season, I assume, right? Before the finale night. So of all people, he's going to for sure, right? So I think he's gonna be informed before he votes. So
yeah, we'll see what he comes back to on that. But yeah, Todrick is a master manipulator, maybe not a master, but a manipulator.
He's like Big D and Kylan, right?
Put together all the worst traits of both people.
Scumbag.
Yeah, just like cutthroat. Okay, so that was episode 7. So basically, Chris Kattan left. Chris Kirkpatrick's voted out. That all happens in the same episode, and then the head household competition, the Angry Glam Squad, kicked off. We had to hold on to the wall. So that was the end of that episode, where they was hold onto the wall. Ultimately, it was Carson who wins this. So what did you think of the reign of Carson in his whole HOH that lasted for episodes 8 through 9?
Obviously, I'm not happy about the outcome. Obviously, what happened. But
ultimately where it ends, but when he first became HOH, would you
I was excited. I was so excited. I'm like, yes. We lost Chris, but Carson, the Empire Strikes Back, right? Where we're gonna, things gonna turn around. We're gonna have balance to the force, right? And I didn't even expect Carson to win that. Actually, I was kind of surprised. Did you think that Carson was gonna win when you started seeing it?
Well, just knowing the history of that wall comp, it's usually somebody with a pretty small frame. Usually a woman wins this competition more often than not, but or at least that's my perception. I don't have stats handy, but
you're right. It's traditionally a women, a slight woman,
build, like a Nicole Franzel, and so I think Carson,
Asian James.
Yeah, or Asian James. The shorter the better. Yeah. I think you're off in this, and I don't know how tall Carson is, but he seemed to do. He's in good shape, so he did well at this, and good for him, And so I thought that I agree that there could have been a lot more potential to this. Him and Cynthia then just kind of were manipulated by Todrick and Misha to go after Shayna, right? Where Shayna was in their alliance, and then they're completely turned against her. I guess with the help of Lamar and Todd. I guess they
More
all.
Todd than Lamar, really, but because Todd has had issues with various people in the household, and it continues on. But even before that, like during the competition, um, Todrick makes a deal with Carson, right, to make sure that he doesn't go on the block, and Carson was so willing to give it to him, like there were scenarios like Shayna's like, well, if Todrick wins veto and takes Misha down, um, you're gonna put Todrick up. He's like, no. I was like, well, we'll just tell Todrick not to use the veto if he wins it. And it's like, no, he's safe for the entire week. It doesn't matter, right? I was like, okay. And they were just throwing out scenarios like, what happens if Lamar wins veto, right? Because in this scenario, Todd and Misha are going up. And if Lamar wins veto and takes Todd down, then that means the only people that are eligible are Todrick, Shayna, and Cynthia, right? And then he promised Todrick that he wouldn't put him up no matter what. So that would mean either Cynthia and Shayna would go up,
Right.
which is there in his alliance. And even Todrick was saying, hey, what happens if a scenario of this happens? And Carson was immediately like, no, don't worry about it. You're safe for the week. And like Carson just has in his head that he's going to like be behind Todrick because he believes Todrick needs this more than anyone.
Okay, so what's your sort of post-mortem on what happened as Carson is the HOH? Ultimately, I think it's a big failure on his part. He doesn't really seem to realize it. He seems to think he did something good, or he's kind of hanging in there, but he's persona non grata in terms of like he's the biggest target in the house. If they can't get him out, they will get Cynthia out just to weaken him before they get him out ultimately. So he's not reading the house very well. I think he's kind of in his own version of things. On the other hand, I think he's fun in the diary room. I think he's a fun character on the show. I liked him hosting the competition in this episode 10 with the drinks. But it's as a player, all you can do is yell at this guy at the TV and go, "What the hell, Carson? What are you doing? Get it together."
It's rare to see a Big Brother season turn as it is, and the feed watchers are not happy with what happened. They're not happy with a good portion of this house. Right now, there's only one person that people really like, actually.
And who's that?
Lamar.
Lamar is the most likable?
Yes, he is, actually.
Oh, man. Well, that's one thing about LO. He does not lose.
The one thing about LO, he does not lose.
I didn't know he was LO. I'm going to start calling him LO.
Hello. Hello, governor.
Lego my LO.
Yes.
All right.
How did you feel about how they turned on
I felt
Shayna?
bad for Shayna. I thought that she got done dirty. I thought that, outside of the game, I think that like Todrick, on the other hand, that is the game, and that is completely within the confines of the game. Because when you're in that house, you can control the narrative through like the social dynamics of things. How much you're able to affect the behavior of your other house guests is as much part of things as anything. And even though it was very toxic and negative, and I don't.
It got really bad, and like people, the amount of crap they talked about, and even like people who are considered good, like Carson, right? He also got his licks in on Shayna, as well as Cynthia, of course, Todrick for sure, right? And Todd as well.
Yeah, it's not the first time this kind of thing has happened. It happens a lot in the house, in different versions of Big Brother, where somebody becomes the pariah of the house, and then that energy of just hating that person, the anticipation of voting them out, just builds and builds, and people will say the nastiest, ugliest things you'd ever hear. It's not the first time it's happened, and I don't know if those house guests regret it after the fact. If they look back on that and don't say what was I thinking. Like you think about when Donnie was kind of a subject of similar treatment. Back in BB16, Derek, the winner of that season, Beast Mode Cowboy, Frankie, they were like, screw him, we hate his guts, like some of the worst things ever. And like I don't think they would. They say, is Donnie a bad guy? They go, no, but
Which is so weird. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of I don't know if you've ever seen Baby Driver.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay. It's like Jamie Foxx's character when he's outside the bank, where he just makes this scenario, right? About, that's our money. They stole it when we were sleeping. And he's like revving himself up so that he can just do this without any type of remorse. Like he's crafting this narrative. And a lot of times it seems that some of these players, they need to craft a narrative to kind of motivate them to destroy their enemy, right? And
Right.
it seems kind of sad. Like it's not that they're just fooling other people, it's like they're also fooling themselves. And I
Yes.
never really got that from like Dr. Will or Dan Giesling. They never believed their own smoke. So
Well, you see that happen more and more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the examples I've all seen over the last since I've been watching it, they definitely do more often than not believe their own smoke, and that it's usually like, I guess if you want to, like, who's the originator of the lie and who's like kind of perpetuating the lie the most, it's Todrick, I guess Misha, right? And so
you see Misha's like a bulldog. She just like doesn't need to be revved up that much. It's just Todrick that's just like is crafting these scenarios and words and is always in Misha's ear. Misha's like, they're on the other side, we're gonna get them kind of attitude. She doesn't really need much.
They're the competition, they must be crushed.
Yeah. Right.
I think I have a quote where she says as much. Hold on. Misha.
Misha.
Now I'm going to use the power to go after the opposition.
The opposition.
She's like so straightforward. Like there's no subtlety or finesse. It's just like a bulldozer. Just
she's a direct
mowing
line.
down.
She's a laser.
Yeah.
She doesn't look at either way. She's just forward. Yeah, and so everything that happened was when she was finally evicted. She just wants it to be over. She just wants to get out of there. And like Todrick almost seems to believe the hype after this much time of getting amped up and just having to get everyone against her and keep that going until she's out.
Yeah.
And then she says, "I'm going to get the whole jury to not vote for you, Todrick," and he's like, "Oh, I'm shocked," or something, But like there was he's like, "Well, she just showed her true colors clearly on the way out." I'm like, "So what? She threw a little shade at you? Who cares?" Like,
I know. It's like, you won. You still mouse.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, and he's like, "I don't want their votes if they listen to Shayna."
It's like, but you need their vote to win.
I don't need them. Todrick will conjure the votes somehow, without them. And that brings us to tonight's episode 10, where ultimately here, and so in all this time, like in all those episodes that took place, there was just one eviction, Shayna, right? And all that time that we didn't talk about the show until tonight, where we see ultimately there's another HOH competition, and Todd Bridges is our new HOH. He nominates Lamar as his pawn. So I'm still very confused about this whole Lamar as the pawn thing. I think Lamar is confused about Lamar as the pawn thing. I think Todd is confused about it, and also and Todrick for that matter. But there's also this, Carson is put up here because Carson's like, he made this deal with Misha and with Todrick. He's like, "Okay, I'm not going to go after you. Me and Cynthia will go after you this week, and you two won't come after us next week." And they're like, "Okay, good." And Misha says as much in the diary room, like she would have gone forward with that for 1 week. Yes, okay. If Misha or Todrick had won power, they would not have nominated either one of them for this 1 week, and then they would have said, and all bets are off after that. Okay,
why would you? It's a perfect deal. Why are you worried about Todd Bridges?
Well, you should be worried about and what this all worked out for Todrick and Misha anyway, because at the end of the episode, Todrick tells us in the diary room here.
Todd is doing all our dirty work for us.
Right. He's ultimately, he's like, great. Like, this is even better. Like, I get to, both me and me should get to compete next week or for the next round here. And, Todd, he's going to get all this blood on his hands and great. Plus he's putting up his own ally, Lamar, and so like, okay, ultimately this is dumb. Okay. This is dumb gameplay, just because, yes, if you're going to target Carson, you put up Cynthia next to him. Yes, Carson could win the veto, but since Cynthia can win now, is left off the block and can win the veto, she can pull Carson off, and then neither of them can be nominated. So now you have to put someone up against Lamar, right? And like, who's left? Cynthia. No, Cynthia can be put up. Sorry,
Misha or Todrick.
Misha or Todrick.
And they won't have the votes.
Right. This is where, like, when Todrick was strapped into this episode because they didn't do well in this this drink competition.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be put in the mascot competitions. They were the Hojito and Lime.
The Hojito and Lime.
The Hojito and Lime, and they were like
strapped with Lamar.
It was kind of like, they were like strapped together for like 24 hours. They've done this in a bunch of versions of Big Brother, and it's always funny when you montage it together. I'm sure it's not funny to live it, but
dude, the feeds for this is great.
Yeah.
So Lamar is just going off on people. Already told off Todrick. So Todd got playing cards, right? And he got it ordered. Lamar ripped up the cards.
What?
He ripped up the cards.
Why?
Because, and then he like I watched the clip and you just see like, man, I just ordered these cards, man. Why'd you do that for? Right? And like Lamar didn't seem sorry. He later apologized afterwards, but he's kind of like fed up with how the attitudes that people have had, and he's seen what happened with Shayna, and he sees how like people like Todrick are Todrick is also using the race card as well. And I hate using that term because in some cases, yes, it is a valid concern that you're dealing with.
It's not a card.
Like,
it's
but he's like legit gaslighting people, right? And it's like, the way Todrick is doing it, Todrick is trying to use as much social ammunition, ammunition against people, and we saw it with how he was using it with Chris Kirkpatrick, right? Where he says he's gonna do stuff and he's gonna say stuff, and people are gonna perceive this and all that. He was using the amount of slanderous words he was saying against Shanna, right? And Lamar was picking up on it, and Lamar's like, dude, like, it isn't just about like cookouts, and this is not an exact quote, like cookouts and stuff. It's like when people look at you, they're gonna look at me and they're gonna see the accomplishments I've done, not like because I've hit some quota or something like that. That's just a very rough, thing. So Lamar is opposed to Todrick and Todd right now, and that's why the internet's living for him, because he's the only technically opposition that exists in the house.
Well, yeah, his diary room at the end of the episode is very confusing because he's like, so my boy Todd put me up. That's cool, but you better see I got like fire in my belly now, and I'm coming to fight, and they better hope I don't win that veto, But I was like, I thought you just volunteered, Lamar, to go up on the block. I'm very confused about what exactly is going on here.
The house guests have not seen me with a fire lit in my belly.
I don't know what's in your belly. It's
not cake.
Confusing. It's not cake. I think Lamar is also maybe picking up on just sort of that negative cult groupthink mentality that often happens in these houses. Like and when it gets toxic against somebody like Shayna, that can he might not sit well. He doesn't know how to stop it. And, he also says after the vote, tonight on the episode, like, oh, well, I had no problem with her. You guys all hated her. That wasn't my issue. And, I almost voted Misha. Misha's like, hey, you don't say that. Or somebody says that. Like, you don't say that. He's like, well, I almost did. Because when he got in the diary room, he didn't know what to do. Right. There was that really long pause. Where, I have a little bit of it.
Can you hear me, Lamar?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
We're on live TV, Lamar. Can we have a vote? And ultimately he after like 30 seconds, even Todrick asked him about it in the episode. Why was that taking so long for my turn to come out? Because he went right after Lamar, and there was no commercial or anything. And he's like, I was thinking about it, like for a long time. And
It's like, dude, know who you're voting for before you vote.
yeah, I don't that's just like what you would call sus, I guess, just to go in and
kind of sus. That being said, if Topaz did that, maybe my boy Gary Glitter would have won.
maybe. But to go off of everything you were saying earlier about how these celebrities are saying, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Like, it's very interesting to see this new era of reality TV where you can kind of threaten your fellow contestants with, like, I guess the threats, especially in the celebrity versions, like the threat of recourse or backlash from their fans or from their followers, or just even negative publicity in general, where I'll say this about you, I'll slander you in this way,
but look who's involved in it. Like, people who are deeply rooted in reality, not even competitive television, but reality lifestyle, I guess, television.
like the Housewives, you mean, right?
Yeah,
I guess
Housewives
all of them, really.
That kind
like
of
even
catty attitude, and
like Lamar was, married to from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, right? Like he's from that world too.
Which I don't understand why they didn't think that there was a connection, like Lamar was gonna just stand for it. Like, sure, like Shayna said stuff about Chloe, but at the same time, like, Lamar also understands how, you get stopped on the road, get a soundbite, and it's misconstrued in a different way. So I can certainly see that he can empathize with her situation, right? And would be a perfect person to empathize with her situation. So, like, going on and on attacking her, like, you don't dig up the dead and then rebury them. They're dead already. They're done. Like,
Let the dead die.
yes, let the dead bury the dead. Don't like, why? It was so unnecessary. And Lamar must have been like, this is kind of like scary, the way that they're just turning on people like that. When's my turn coming? Am I just gonna let it happen?
Well, I think he's right. He might see that coming, and I think that that's legitimate. I think that there will be his turn eventually. Yes, and then how much they fear him, I guess, is ultimately how badly he'll be treated. It's just kind of a direct ratio. And I don't know what I agree with. Like, especially if you're watching live feeds and you're following this on that level, I get how toxic that can be, and I guess like how disappointing you are, just people. Why do you have to play like this? Why do you have to think like this? Why do you have to be cruel in such a way? It's not necessary, but it seems to be the evolution of the game in a negative way. And I get that that's not necessarily the best, and I think that that we, on the TV program, we get such a not that, like they,
like
they
a
do their
sanitized type of view.
a very sanitized and sort of, well, it gets all fun and people, this is really a fun game, and this is, which it kind of should be. But I think when you're clearly, like, I think that also, like, the desensitization now of like not having your phone and being disconnected from the world, I think is having a more profound effect on people than it did like when this game first was introduced like 20 something years ago, where it was still hard back then to be cut off from the outside world, but maybe it's even more anxiety driven.
People in social echo chambers who just jump on causes and aspects. Think about the type of people that they traditionally hire for hire, but pick for these competitions. Not me. They have a mindset where it's just like, I'm just gonna go and join this cause and just rant and rave about it. Like, in my own thought process and how I am on social, right? There's stuff that I don't like, and I obviously am very open about what I don't like, but I would like to think that I'm also try to be positive, right? And try to be consistently positive, or hold my tongue when it comes to that type of negativity, right? So it isn't just, and you look at people's feeds where it's just like ranting on something, like just seeking it out, seeking that type of pylon, right? And you're seeing it in these game players a lot of times, right? And
Right.
it does not make for a better show, in my opinion. Like, I Victoria in BB Can 9 was insane, but you can at least turn around and respect her ability, right? But some of the conflicts that were there, especially with her and Tara, were like extremely interesting, and
Yeah.
even Kiefer and Tara, like.
Oh, well, hold on. Why we're on Victoria?
I did-
I'm gonna play a Victoria clip if you bring her up.
Stay real because things are about to get spicy.
BB Can 10 coming up March 2nd.
Yeah, it's coming up very soon. Yeah.
But you know what I mean, right? It's just what can I say? What can I hope for?
Well, I don't think we like to see I don't think I like to see direct cruelty, see played out, right? I think that when it gets to that level, I think that's when it's gone kind of too far. And I think that's, but I think also you kind of understand it just on some level because I think Todrick has to lean into this lie, and then it takes a life of its own to this point where he's just now it's I don't know,
But I don't get that feeling
believe
from Misha. If let's say
No.
it was down to a final 3 and it was Lamar, Misha, and Chris, I don't think there's going to be well, Misha's a bad person or Chris is a bad person or Lamar's a bad person. It's going to be who's the best is going to win.
Yes.
Right. And that's the attitudes of the individuals that are involved.
Right. Well, if Todd were to go up there and on in the finale, let's say he's in the final 2, Todrick, right? And he's Sheena goes up and asks him a question why should I vote for you? I was going to tell the whole jury I hated you and all those lies you told about me. You turned the whole house. Do you own up to it? And if he were to say, yes, I own up to it. I completely hosed Carson and Cynthia and I got them to think you were the worst. And even though you were completely in their alliance, ultimately, and it completely worked, does that would Shayna or even not even Shayna, but the other jury members just give respect to that? Are they gonna, just say that was actually too far?
Honestly, with this group, I think they're gonna say it's too far. Also, in the same way, I don't think he's gonna admit to that. I think he's gonna say, no, we all know the truth. I feel like he's totally gonna believe his own smoke.
Does that change who votes for him or not? In that scenario?
You would think that he would be smart enough to know that they're not in isolation. They're watching the show. So.
Yeah, they would have. Yeah, they get out. People tell them this person's most hated, or this person is the perception of them is whatever, and therefore you have to think about how it's going to reverberate at you ultimately when you vote.
The way it's going, Misha's going to win. If Todrick and Misha make it to the end, Misha's winning.
Just based on I guess Todrick having so much blood on his hands and having so many issues. Yeah, okay. So he's played too hard. So who can Todrick beat in the end? Who does he have to sit next to
Todd.
win? Todd. But okay, well, and Todd's doing the dirty work, right? Yeah. Okay. Tonight's HOH competition. It was no good. Okay, this guy. Okay, from the second he gets the first question right, it's yeah, and I was like, "Come on, Todd, settle down."
Act like you've been here before.
Act like you've been here, but it's okay. You got one right, and then he gets all of them right. So it's every round. Yeah, baby, yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't there wasn't a shimmy or a wrestling pose of some sort. It would seem on brand.
I thought this was a very interesting competition. Have they ever done this before that you can recall?
It's not coming off the top of my head. I know people are like, Jaemeel, don't you remember? Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
It was okay. They took a whole bunch of ingredients, put them into a drink. Things that should not be in a drink together: sauerkraut, garlic and different like ginger beers and whatever, like ketchup, barbecue sauce, all kinds of shit. And they put it all into the drink, and then you had to taste what they would tell you, like the 4 out of the 5 ingredients that are in there, and like what's the 5th ingredient, right? And Todd Bridges, for some reason, has this ability.
Who would have ever known that I could taste every single thing and get them right? Come on, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
Let me give you an insight into West Indian culture. There's a lot of home remedies, and these home remedies, you're like, what the hell is this? Rum and rum and honey with black pepper and a clove of garlic at the bottom, and like all these things that look. If that stuff doesn't actually cure the illness, you'll pretend you're better so you don't have to drink it again.
Yeah. All better. Good.
So good. I'm not surprised. In terms of like how it's done in the past, I can't recall a challenge, but because you're more of a more modern Big Brother viewer, when they used to have food competitions, there would be like some wacky type of like food competitions you'll win, or stuff prizes you'll win. Have-nots would either have to eat slop, or sometimes America would vote on different combinations of stuff. So it might be like pork grinds and something weird, and that's all they will have. They would have either slop, pork grinds, or another weird thing, and that's all they will have. And sometimes people would mix it just so that they had a different taste with their slop, right?
Okay.
But it would be like really weird, like Brussels sprouts and slop. That's all you had: Brussels sprouts, slop, and pork grinds. It'd just be a weird combination that you just wouldn't want any abundance for a week.
We talk about comp threats. We talk about mental comp threats, physical comp threats, but we never talk about discerning palates as like a comp threat. Like, like you want me in your alliance, I can totally taste anything and I know what it is.
So are we saying that we missed out? If Chris Kattan was still here, there would be like a cake.
Yeah, all the cakes. Yeah. What cake? What's in this cake, Chris Kattan? He's like, cake, the cake monster knows. That would have been the best. You should just. I wish he had stuck around for some diary room things. At least. But yeah, I thought something different, and nice to kind of see like them try. Although it was interesting to see Todrick, who after a while was just like, I refused to. He was out of the competition. He didn't think he could catch up in points. He's like, I'm not even drinking these. I refuse to drink these. He was very over the top in his reactions. Yeah. I thought. With all of this, and then we get the whole thing where Todrick and Lamar are tied together. They're going around. The feeds were good, as we mentioned, but they're in the bathroom eventually. Talking with Todd. It's Todrick, Todd, and Lamar. And they're like, hey, can I put you up? Because I don't want to put Cynthia up because I might want her vote to help us later. This was the logic Todd was using. It made no sense, Jaemeel. It was no. He was, but Todd Bridges came to play.
Todd Bridges came to play.
But not with his head.
Wait, to play the fool. That's what he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing the fool. Because I don't understand. Okay, if you want to go after Cynthia and Carson here, then fine. But just put them both up. It's with the numbers being what they are at this point in the game. Lamar is the pawn. Especially what I got from this diary room with Lamar, where he's like, maybe I'm got the fire in my belly. I'm coming for you, Todd. I was like, I thought you were. I thought Todd was your ride or die, Lamar. And now I don't even know if you guys are.
Ride or die shouldn't be putting up people up as pawns.
No, but like, why did Lamar say yes to this? And does Lamar is this?
Sometimes sometimes the HOH shouldn't ask a question and put you in that position, especially if you're a ride or die. Like, we know this as like Big Brother, like people. We know that. Like, why put your ally on the block? You shouldn't, right? And
Todrick was trying to like talk him out of it too, right? He's like, what? Why? But eventually he just gives up and lets Todd have his way.
It's like, fool wants to be a fool. Fool on. Oh.
Well, I think he's just like, fine. We'll see how like the veto shakes out. Everyone plays in this veto. No one sits out of this veto. So
Yeah.
ultimately, like, there's no back doors. It's just, it's you're getting
Was it the screen door?
screen door. Yeah, there's no back door on a submarine or whatever. Or is the screen door on a submarine? Doesn't matter. Anyway, Lamar is an interesting player to see. Like, can Lamar win this game?
If he gets to the end,
Lamar
sure.
versus Todrick in the end, yeah.
Oh, I
100% Lamar
Todrick
wins.
Could possibly be like the goatiest goat, or maybe Cynthia as well. Could be the goatiest goat.
Cynthia versus Todrick, final two.
Could be Todrick, because at least people could say that Todrick played. What has Cynthia done?
Cynthia has been really dumb.
You know what Cynthia is?
Objectively.
Cynthia is, this is a rom-com, and she's the sassy black friend. That's all she is. She's in the background to anyone. She's in the background. She's like, that's right.
So she's playing a role. You don't think this is her
there.
true personality, or this is like this is a version of her?
Well, she and the main character is all I'm gonna say.
Well, I agree. Like, she's not playing that kind of a game at all. She's playing more of like a sidekick game.
But like, I don't see an end game for her. She's not endearing herself to people. Like, is Misha gonna respect Cynthia? I don't believe that. Is Todrick gonna respect Cynthia? Maybe, just because.
Not Shayna, not now. Not after like all that.
Not Shayna.
So,
yeah.
Right.
And then Chris Kirkpatrick watching what they did to Shayna. Not gonna do that. Chris Kattan. Nope. Right.
If he shows up at all, tell him there's a cake. He'll show up.
Right. Would Todd vote for Cynthia? Right.
Would Todd vote for Cynthia? Okay, we didn't talk about their fight. The big fight they had. What did you have a side? Did you take a side, or did you feel they just both look bad, or
what was dumb? Both of them look like dummies.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Like that. It's like you're like when people are like Lamar. Really? It's like who else? Who else? Unless I have to turn around and like Misha again, just by default.
It was funny, like when she was so mad at Todd, and she's like coming at him, and then like she walks into the room, and Carson comes behind her and goes, she's fine, and then she like then she comes out, and then she comes at Todd again, like 2 minutes after her last rant, and this is when he blows up. He looked bad, but on the other hand, I was like, I can kind of understand, like he kind of held it together for the first time, and then he kind of like lost it, because he's like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Chill in the sauna room, dude. Chill in the sauna room.
Yeah. Anyways, that was something else. The other thing I wanted to run by you too was I heard tonight on Entertainment Tonight that Shayna was kind of talking about things that were going on in the house, and she apparently she had a boyfriend going into the house. Shayna, maybe a bit younger than her.
Big oof.
Yeah, and I heard that there might have been some romance between Lamar and Shayna. Is that or something?
They said that she was kind of flirting with him, but like people's interpretations of flirting is weird. You're in a house, and there's some people that you like more than others, and
yeah. And Shayna did just like maybe want to like endear herself to him after she called his fiance a donkey or whatever it was.
I may or may not have called his fiance at one time a donkey on national television.
Right. So,
but people are also believing that the boyfriend is kind of stunting because he waits till she's in the house to go buy her wedding ring. Right. And look, TMZ is there as he's going to do so. And then TMZ has this scoop about how he's feeling very uncomfortable about how she's acting in the house. It just seems like very
contrived,
orchestrated. Yeah, contrived as well.
Yeah, I'd say that he maybe either he had a change of heart late in the game, or that this was convenient on some level. and an opportunity he seized by the sounds of it. I don't think there was. I think Lamar liked her. By the end of that, when he was, I think he was sad to see her go, as much as he said in this episode tonight. And like,
but Lamar only has eyes for his ex-wife,
for Khloe Kardashian. Yeah, like I think he only came on this show as a part of an apology tour. To build like sort of like Khloe, take me back. I'm my big brother, and you could, you can live in a house with me all the time instead. Live feeds. Come on, Khloe.
I agree.
We'll make a tape like Kim. It's no. I don't know if Khloe will take him back. We'll see.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. But like, even if the relationship is better, like
from this, then it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a grand gesture, right? And he has his children.
Yeah, they got kids together too, right? So there's also that to think about, and at least he's trying, regardless of whether they end up together or not. He's trying to sort of make amends for his past. I guess you can always commend that, right? Okay, so we can get into the spoilers now that we've talked about Todd Bridges having like this HOH, these moves made no sense. Todd Bridges, come on. But he's loving this. He is loving being the HOH. I've never seen a guy love it so much. For the second he got that first question right, and when he was like, "That's Ginger."
That's Ginger.
Yeah, he knew he was gonna. This was his week.
Damn.
Yeah.
You guys did not think that Todd Bridges came to play.
Yeah, Todd Bridges came to play. What are you talking about, Willis? Anyway, so we're getting into the spoilers because we're going to talk about who won the veto and sort of what the ramifications of the veto may or may not be. So if you are leaving us at this point, I know it's coming up, then we will be back next Wednesday. That will be our next podcast as we wrap up this season. So we're going to go from this sensational final 6 down to, by that point, I assume a final 3. For the finale, right? So
yeah, I think so.
Before we get to the spoilers, Jaemeel, any predictions for who you think those final 3 will be?
I don't know. Honestly, the way this season's gone, I could have sworn it was going to be like Chris, like Shayna, and maybe Misha or Todrick, and like I just been fooled.
So final 3, you're saying I'm going to write this down because we can check this in a week. Yeah. So Jaemeel is saying who?
No, Jameel's not saying anything. I can't.
Okay, here's my prediction. Here's my final 3. I'm going to say it's I think Todd Bridges is there. I think how is he not in the final 3? I think that I think Todrick will be also there in the final 3.
Good educated guess, yeah.
And I could see someone like Todrick cutting Misha at final 4 or something like that, So, but if he doesn't get that chance, then I think it will be Misha. But if it's not,
yeah.
But if not, then probably Cynthia or something like that, or Lamar. But I got to pick somebody. So I'm ultimately going.
Fair enough.
I'm going with Misha. Those are my final 3.
Okay, so go ahead, hit us with the spoilers. You're giving the spoilers tonight, right?
But I'm giving you the spoilers tonight. I don't know a ton. I just know who won the veto. So let's get into the spoilers. If you're not, so we'll hopefully see you next week, where we will see if my prediction for final 3 came true. But on that note, let's jump in and get into it. I haven't used my one with Brittany for a while. Anyway, let's get into the spoiler warning here and talk about it. So thanks to Daryl Clark for his minute by minute updates. So I heard that the new HO8 the new veto is Misha.
Oh yes,
right. And do you know if it's been played?
I do not know. Sorry, I've been out of commission all day. Today was not necessarily the best for work with me. So
No worries, no worries.
yes.
At all. I do not think it's happened yet. I think it will happen on Friday's episode, where right before the eviction. That's tends to be what they do.
Yeah.
So, will Misha use that veto? What do you think?
Why? Why put herself or Todrick in that kind of
Well,
situation?
she can't. She would be safe because she won the veto. But she'd be putting Todrick at risk if she does that.
Well, I mean, like, why put Todrick in that situation though?
Just vote out Carson. Just keep noms the same. Vote out Carson. Nice and clean, right?
Yeah. Try to use it to build goodwill with Lamar as well.
Because who would vote to keep Carson other than Cynthia? No one, right?
Who knows if they gaslight, they get to Cynthia.
There's only 3 votes, right? The only 3 votes are Cynthia, Misha, and Todrick.
Yep.
So
they
Carson's
control the
done.
vote. Why unless you want to put someone else up, there's no one need to go up. You use it to get rid of Carson.
Right.
And then next
if you took
round,
Lamar down and put Cynthia up, the chances are Lamar is not going to vote the way you want anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right. He might not vote different than Cynthia in the end anyway. He just said he wanted to vote for Misha, so they're not going to trust him to vote.
Yep.
Better to keep him up on the block where he can't vote.
But next HOH, so let's say they do vote out Carson. Carson's gone. That means next HOH is Cynthia, Lamar versus Misha and Todrick. Chances are, sorry?
Well, chances are what? Yeah, like that.
Misha and Todrick are going to win HOH.
Very likely.
Yes.
Right. And who would they want to get out first? Like, are Cynthia, they're automatic?
They'll probably put up Lamar and Todd.
And not even put Cynthia up.
Why put Cynthia up? Because isn't Lamar's quote unquote Todd's ride or die?
Well, those were my words. Yes, I don't know if they
or
would
isn't
say so.
Todd Lamar's partner in a respect? So why, if one of them gets voted out, the other will be, taken down. Cynthia will be put up. Then it'll be, let's say either Misha or Todrick doing the one vote on one side, and then whoever is remaining might, vote for Cynthia, and then the HOH would break the tie, and whoever they want will go home.
There you go. So okay, so let's say they get out Todd next.
Yep.
Okay, my final 3's prediction has been shattered, but immediately, as I said, he was going to be there.
But why would you get out Todd? Wouldn't you get out Lamar? If he's
guess
more the imposing physical threat, all of a sudden the HOH is a basketball competition, and he's licking his lips.
Well, for sure. LO, you better watch out for LO. He's going to turn it on, and he's going to win this thing. But I guess also, like, who's more annoying to live around? Could be a factor.
Look, if you're winning that money, a week being less than a week with an annoying person, I think he can manage.
After this much time, especially, like, what's a few more days, in the grand scheme of things?
Because Final Four HOH is if they stay true to the old rules that they had for Celebrity Big Brother, they get to vote out 2 people. In previous years, Final Four, the person who won HOH... No, sorry. It was Final Five.
What they did?
Final Five, they voted out 2 people.
To get to Final 3?
No, I'm wrong. They were... No, it was Final Four. The HOH was able to vote out 2 people, and then was able to select who the person they went with.
Oh, right. So instead of it, so it works like you choose who you take the final 2, but there's 4 of you instead.
So if it's Misha or Todrick, supposedly the thought process is they can get out Cynthia and Todd, no problem, and they're good. If you're, let's say you're Todrick, right? You'd think Misha's going to take me, and then Todd might take me most likely, and Cynthia, I've had a good rapport with Cynthia all this time. I've totally snowed her, right? She will take me, right? So, I'm in a good position.
Right. So, okay, let's say Lamar is the next one to hold power after they vote out Carson. Right? What
Mhm.
what then? What's the most likely scenario? Who does he target?
He has to target Misha and Todrick.
He has to.
He has to.
Does
There's
he
no other
realize
option.
this?
He does realize. Well, he's gonna go after Misha for sure.
Right.
And if Misha and Todrick are so close, he has to put both of them up together.
Yes. Okay. So I think that would be the most like interesting thing that could happen if Lamar suddenly like was to take one of those that
Yeah.
duo out, or
And
was
if
at least
if Misha is still on the block after veto, she's going home because there's no way that anyone is going to pass up an opportunity to get her out of the house,
no.
knowing that she's gone. Plus, Lamar can't play in the following HOH unless it's the Final Four HOH where he might have to play.
Right. Oh, okay. So and if I guess the other alternative, if it's not Misha or Todrick on that side, if it's not Lamar, Todd can't play. So the only other person left is Cynthia. And if Cynthia were to hold power next, again, she would obviously have to go after Misha and Todrick, just like
No, she'll put Misha and Todd most likely.
just to get back at Todd.
Most likely, and because Misha's a big threat.
Right.
I don't think she's going to be as aware to know who to vote out. I keep on thinking Carson. Well, yeah, I'm assuming that Carson's out of the game. Like it's a guaranteed lock. He's gone.
Yeah, you're so well. We kind of like written his obituary already, and it's not even Thursday. It would still be 2 days from now that he'd be voted out.
Dude is gone.
Presumably.
He's
But
gone.
he's done. He like they wanted to get him out for so long. There's no way they won't put him out on Friday.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's just about who holds power next is really the biggest thing. And then, skip forward to the finale, and that because there's a chain reaction based on that. So really, but will they tell us who the HOH is on Friday? Probably not. I think
They'll probably do the HOH competition. Why would you jump the gun? Keep that for Sunday.
They'll keep that for Sunday. So they won't even announce that on TV wise.
Wouldn't you want to do HOH and veto on Sunday, or they're going to do the multiple days? So HOH Sunday, veto Monday, and then
in terms of the episodes that come after this, so tonight, so there's there's Friday night, and then there's an episode on Saturday.
Okay, so HOH on Saturday, okay,
and then Sunday,
okay, veto,
and then Monday,
live eviction,
right, and then Wednesday's the finale.
Yeah, okay.
So there's still a lot of episodes between now and then. It's almost every day. There's no way we could have podcasted about this. Like, it's just so
ridiculous.
So much. Like,
but even the amount of stuff we're talking about, we did 3 episodes worth, 7, 8, 9, 10, so 4 episodes worth. It just seemed like we were able to cover it so quickly.
Yeah, and there wasn't like we didn't miss that much, or I think we hit all the big beats that happened.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if we missed anything. But like in the week's time, like I do you think in a week we'll be saying like, well, you know what, it was kind of a fun season, like there was different sides and they they played, or do you think we're saying that this was largely not a success? And
a lot would have to happen for that kind of feeling, in my opinion.
Do you think we'll be saying like season 4?
I'm not ready to write off the Celebrity Big Brother concept. I feel like if they had a different set of celebrities, it might be different.
Right. It all comes down to chemistry. And,
I think the casting of it, and I would hate to be the casting director for a celebrity season versus a new person season, or even a returning season. Those seem a lot simpler. Like the amount of agents and probably concessions that have to be done just to make the season work on top of each other. I can't imagine what they have to deal with. So kudos to them in general.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I think that, like it all depends who you get, how they react to each other. And then there's other things that other circumstances you can't even control. But we'll see. We'll see how we feel. Hopefully, we'll have Jeff Mader back for that finale.
Daddy Jeff.
Daddy Jeff. We hope to see you in a week's time to talk about that. That's Survivor coming up right behind this season of Big Brother, and we also have Big Brother Canada coming up, Jaemeel. We're gonna have to figure that out somehow. I don't know.
I think there's gonna be a lot more energy
in the Big Brother
amongst
Canada?
the crew, amongst the crew regarding the Big Brother Canada release,
and especially the Survivor. I think also coming back. Jeff's always down for Survivor. So
Survivor does a good job in terms of kind of consolidating a lot of the information, and the shorter season.
Why can't Big Brother do that? Like basically, like you could have taken. It's fewer days, right? This Big Brother is 28 days in a house versus 39 days on an island, and they can somehow tell a story, a more compelling story, on Survivor in fewer episodes.
Although last season wasn't the best example of a compelling story when we didn't really see the the winner get edited in the sense to show why she won.
No, okay, but like just as how Big Brother compares to Survivor in general, right? Especially if you're going to do this rapid fire, quick 1 month season in the celebrity format, I think that there's maybe a better way to do it versus like these episodes where we're watching a bunch of filler, really, and Survivor doesn't need to like do that. They have basically the same amount of hours of footage to show you, and so in conversations,
why aren't they doing a better job of presenting a show? Hey, we're only going to do 2 episodes a week, and these 2 episodes are jam-packed with the content that you need to tell the story.
Yeah, that would be better, I think, versus like this, like we're on 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week. Like you know what? Like I'm like, what? There's a Friday episode, a Saturday episode, like
2-hour episodes.
This is a weeknight show. You do this like I like the traditional Big Brother. I like the Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. That's good. Like just those are the nights I like it. And I'm a cranky old man, but that's all I'm saying. Before
you're not just a cranky old man, you're a cranky old uncle. Uncle Dave.
Super Mater uncle here on the show. Yes, congratulations again to Jeff and Amanda on my new niece, Prudence. And check out our other podcasts. We got Live Long and Podcast where we talk about Star Trek all the time. We have Monday nights, we talk about Star Trek Enterprise. On Tuesday nights, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We've been rewatching both those series. You can check in and check out which episodes we've talked about so far. Follow along as we watch them all. On Thursdays, we're often talking about the newest episode of Star Trek on one of the different platforms that's come out. Right now, we're into Star Trek Discovery Season 4.
AKA Star Trek Michael Chan.
Star Trek Michael Chan, one of our good friends from Star Trek Radio Theater, which we do over on Live Long and Podcast. He was just on the most recent episode of Star Trek Discovery called All In, episode 8 of season 4. Him talking to Oded Fair,
Admiral Vance.
Admiral Charles Vance. He was working for him. He's working we don't know how much more we're going to see him, but he's presumably going to be more on Star Trek Michael Chan. I mean, Star Trek Discovery Season 4. And you can also, we just wrapped up our coverage of so far of Star Trek Prodigy over on that channel with Michael Chan and it was Jessica Chan. Sorry, Jessica Chan. And my cousin Davin Skellhorn. We talked about all the 10 episodes they've released so far. There's going to be more to come later this year. Star Trek Picard coming up in March. I'm going to be talking about that with Jodie Simpson and Adam Woodward.
Strange New Worlds in May.
Strange New Worlds. Did you see there's a new uniform in Strange New Worlds?
I felt for you, dude.
I was like, what is this uniform?
Felt for you so much.
I do not like the neckline. Moving on, I guess. There's the new movies. There was a new Star Trek movie announced. That's not till next year. But the Chris Pine, J.J. Abrams, they're coming up with another round. So,
but more important news, we have Star Trek Radio Theater.
Yes, Star Trek Radio Theater this Saturday coming. Our season 3 debut is going to be Deep Space Nine's Looking for Parmak in All the Wrong Places. Kind of a Valentine's Day theme, even though it was a couple days ago. I'm going to be playing Commander Worf. My wife Jane playing Jadzia Dax. This is the first time they hook up. these two characters, and it's good. The romance just writes itself. Kevin Millard playing Quark, Ashley Millard playing Grilka. We got Maud as O'Brien, Jessica Chan as Kieran Reese, my cousin Davin is Julian Bashir and Tarek, and Michael Chan, Discovery's own Michael Chan, playing Keiko and Cisco and Odo and a bunch of Dopak. So we got a great cast for this one. You can listen to the live read of this. It's a script read, plus I'll edit that down into an edited version after the fact. And then in March, we're going to be doing with Steve Shives from his own YouTube channel, self-titled, Star Trekker, YouTuber, and a bunch of other things he does over there. He's coming back. He was in season 2 with us. He's coming to do episode 2 of season 3, which is going to be Hiding Q. Yeah, with Jodie Simpson coming in to play Q. So it's going to be an explosive, big episode coming up. And what else am I forgetting, Jaemeel?
Trivial debates.
Trivial debates, of course. How could I forget? We got Jeff Mader, newest father. He's going to be hosting. We got Jaemeel Robinson competing. We got Jodie Simpson competing. We got Max Duda. What kind of questions? What will be said? Who knows? But February 27th, 2022, 10 a.m. live over on our Trivial Debates channel. You can listen or watch to that. You can hear that on the audio version. It's going to be a battle royale and a lot of fun. So you should definitely check that out. Davin Skellhorn's podcasts are Locutors of Trek and X-Men X-Rated, where he talks about X-Men the animated series. Locutors of Trek is a Star Trek channel. And my son Eamon has his own podcast called Let's Talk About Fighting Games. He does under his podcast, under his alias Sam Jerka, with Sonic Smash Bros. Seth and Paranoia. Ooh. They delve into everything about fighting games, from the first step in fighting games to the top level majors, from Street Fighter V to Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and the best of the worst of the fighting games, as well as everything in between. That's the synopsis. That's right from it.
Yes, their latest episode was on Saturday. So
yes, it was. It was.
You got content ready for your ears.
They're talking biking, whatever that is. So, if you like those video games with fighting, Eamon talks about them. Check them out on his podcast. Okay. And on that note, I think we need to say goodnight, Jaemeel.
Yes. Look forward to, I assume we're going to do a Peacemaker podcast coming up in the next couple of weeks as that show's wrapping up.
I would love to. I have to binge watch that. Westworld's going to be coming up. Definitely want to talk to Jeff about season 4 when that comes out. There's what else do we got coming up? We got Marvel, Doctor Strange, not till May though.
Not till May, but we're going to have Moon Knight first.
Moon Knight coming up. Yeah.
The Batman. Are we going to do the Batman?
I want to do the Bat. I would love to do the Batman.
Okay. So Batman first week of March is coming up.
Great movies and TV shows here on Super Mario Brothers Podcast. And we're going to be covering them, telling you our thoughts, and getting that out there. So, but thank you for listening to our coverage here. Our Celebrity Big Brother 3, episodes 7 through 10. This sort of week 3 sort of check-in, and we will be back. But until that next time, we will be seeing you next Wednesday, which will be February the 23rd. Okay, Julie Chen, take us away. Yeah!
From outside the Big Brother house, I'm Julie Chen Moonves. Love one another. Good night.
Yeah, baby, yeah!